Good everyone, on today's video, today we have just a little bit of a PSA on a plane, and today it's a PSA on the Fw-190 A-4. This aircraft has received a buff, and I wanted to showcase this in a video because this thing feels a shit ton better to fly now. And I'd arguably say it rivals an A5 with how much nicer it is to fly. Now, I was tipped off about this by a guy named Moxie, who he's been in the comments quite a lot, and of course he's one of my most long-term subscribers. And he tipped me off about this, and he said, "You really need to fly this thing now, and it's great." And I asked him, "What's changed about it?" Because I haven't actually flown this thing since arcade, and he was like, "Well, it's been buffed. It's got about 200 to 300 more horsepower." And immediately I was like, "Ooh, I know this thing had a little bit of a horsepower problem, but now, oh, it's different. This thing is much different." If we take a look at the A1, which I think it used to be based off the A1, if I remember rightly, I may be wrong about that, but the 190A1, I believe, was the original basis for this aircraft, and as you can tell, there's a big jump in horsepower. It's around about 200 to 300, given the altitude, of course. And as a result, the A4 has just got that little bit more power and a little bit more variety to it than the A1 or the A5. And of course, it's still at a BR of 4.3. Now, do I think this buff was warranted? I can't say I'd know from personal experience. I've only flown this thing a couple of times in ARB. I honestly don't remember it flying any differently to an A1 other than it having a bit more firepower. As a result, the more experienced 190A4 pilots who flew this thing back in the day will probably have to clarify for me, but it's a buff that I personally think it needed. The problem is that I never really see that many 190A4s. I always see A1s, A5s, A8s, F8s. Those are all flown. These aren't. I don't see A4s, and I think this buff, which was quite a ninja buff, if I do say so myself, was definitely needed. So let's go into the replay to showcase exactly what this little thing can do, because it really has changed, and I'm pleasantly surprised that this plane of all things got a buff, because like I said, I haven't flown this thing since the days of arcade, which is why you saw the eagle head on the back of it. And I'd like to point out, this is the very first match I had flying this thing after its buff. I got tipped off about it by Moxie, and I took it out, and this is the very first fight. So of course, I have had the plane spaded since the days of arcade, and I never flew it since. I never really had a reason to. I had the A5s, I didn't need to fly the A4. But I'm really glad I took this thing out, because it was a lot of fun to play this aircraft overall. So the climb rate feels better. Like I say, I used to play it in the days of AB. I don't remember shit about the 190A4 in RB. I don't even think I ever flew it in RB before this point. And it's definitely a plane that as I said, I don't see many of these, and I'm hoping this buff will help this thing see a little bit more action, at least in my eyes. So jumping ahead 4 times speed, I've cut out almost half the freaking match because of how quick this match goes. And straight away we have an F82, which isn't exactly something I'd want to see. Fire burst, but yeah, I'm not sticking on that thing. Sorry for the camera angles, by the way. The replays are very questionable with their camera angles. Here comes a P-47 who's firing rockets. I think I score exactly 1 hit, and he starts firing his H-Vars again. I don't know why on God's earth he was firing rockets at us, but hey ho, Asian was able to dodge the rockets, and we were soon able to turn the tables on this guy and bitch slap him to oblivion. If there's one thing I love about Focke-Wulfs, it's the firepower. Kill number 1. Swinging it around now for the plethora of enemy aircraft on the deck. I spot a nice low and slow Corsair, who he does take a little bit of damage, but after the second burst, yeah, I think he felt that one. Throwing another burst, actually damaged that Corsair, but the crit notification that you just heard then, that was for the Corsair I just killed. He tries to pull it round, but he just doesn't have the power. Kill number 3. Continuing on, the Kai 43 does pull up, making it very easy to get my 4th kill. And like I say, having that extra horsepower is actually helping quite a bit now. That I do have to admit. So the P47 starts spraying and praying in just over a mile. I do score a nice hit and a crit, which sets him on fire. That's going to be kill number 5. That's kill number 6, technically speaking, because I know the P47 is going to be classed as kill number 6, but yeah, I just like to be technical like that. There he goes, and now I use the speed of the Fw-190 A-4 on the deck and catch up to this wounded Corsair. This Corsair is trying to limp it back, but it's at this moment where Asian actually says in Discord, wow, he's on 6 already, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make it 7. Closing in on the Corsair, he is technically dead. Of course, I don't know who got the crit, so I decided, let's finish him off. Some may see that as a kill steal, but I personally don't. I hope that really opens up your eyes to this aircraft, because as I said, this is a plane you do not see. I literally don't remember the last time I saw an A4. That's how long it is in terms of actual seeing of A4s. I just see A5s, A1s, A8, F8s. Those are the ones I see in terms of the Anton/Frederick series. And I hope more people are going to start flying this thing, because it's a very good plane now, and the buff was certainly needed. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the Fw-190 A4. Like I said, it's just a short one for this one, and I'll see you all on the next one.